before we get on to, Coop wants to know where we met. When I was sitting here going through a lot of it, Spudd, a lot of the stuff, geez, I tell you what, we've lost some people over the years that you get there, of our generation that you played against and with. I mean, and I was sitting there today and I was thinking about Terry Hill.
Yeah, Terry Hill. The human pest.
Yeah, he was.
I remember it's crazy how you meet people. And in 1990, I went down to South Sydney and I'd just been at Penrith, and I walk in and they said, "Oh, here comes Spudd." I looked over my shoulder. I said, you dickhead, you're the one who eats all the potatoes. Because I used to eat 16 potatoes before a game.
Is that where the name comes from?
It is.
Spudd?
And then Terry Hill comes up and he starts spitting up. He's like a human sprinter. And he had this thing about, I took him home the first day and my rearview mirror had perspiration. He just doesn't shut up.
Oh, yeah.
But his signature move was he used your towel. And he kept using my towel. And nothing worse when you have a session, come out, you're hot and sweaty, he's got a wet towel anyway. My dad said to me, "Son, give him the old 1-2." And I knew what the 1-2 was. So I go to the train, do the session, but he was out on the field, so I went and grabbed his undies. Yeah. I remember going to the medicine cabinet. I went, "Deep heat." It was the hottest one I could ever get.
Oh yeah,
Capo.
Yeah.
So I didn't just slowly put it in. I absolutely rubbed it into his undies. Anyway, come out. I finished, had a shower, got in my bag, got the towels clean. He comes in, "Spudd, you're a spastic," all this sort of stuff, and he puts his jocks on after he's been sweating. It starts going. He starts going, "Oh, I'm in trouble. Anyway, I'm crying, right? Putting the Tragodax on. He goes out and sees Reggie Rabbit, but he also went outside. It was in winter, and it generates more heat. He's screaming. Yeah. I leave the building with my bag laughing, and I remember the last thing I seen him, he was sloshing Vaseline on his nuts up and down from the big 20-litre tubs. Remember those? Anyway, I go home and Dad goes, "How'd you go?" I said, "Oh, Dad, I fucking got it." He gives a high five, My mum's sitting there. She's only 5 foot tall, and she goes, "Oh, Mark, you sure you haven't hurt him?" Mum, give us a break. Bang. So I go to training, but in my subconscious mind, I'm thinking, fuck, I couldn't find him. Where is he? And they said, "Oh, haven't you heard?" I said, "No." He said he's in hospital with 30-degree burns to his balls. Anyway, it took him 2 years to find out, but I'll tell you what, he was a very... crazy characters. We haven't got no characters these days, have we?
I tell you,
it's so hard when you get the chili on the balls. When you get there, sometimes you do the chili and you got in your hands. I remember once around at Crowe's place, and we're having a drink, and someone pulled the chili out. Next minute, I got it in the hands, and I go to the toilet. It's all over the old fella, and you don't know how to get rid of. Nah. Someone said to me, "Mate, you put it in milk." So I'm standing there, and I've actually got my dick and balls in milk, and Crowe's mum walks in and goes, "Matthew, why have you got your genitals in the milk?"
Yeah, mate.
How big was the cup? Must have been good.
I was huge.
Oh, I bet it was.
It was a dinner bowl.
It wasn't. I'll tell you what. Same thing happened to me. I used to get deep heat on the back at half time just because keep it loose. And then I remember it was that hot one day. I was trying to wipe it off. Yeah. Forgot that I had it on my hand. Same thing. As kickoff's about to go down the cags to give him a little scratch, dead set 20 minutes into the game, couldn't shake the pain.
Yeah.
My build up for games, I was horrible. I was superstitious right for the whole week. But I get the game day and I always have just my shorts and my socks on and my boots, and I'll leave the jersey for the last thing I put on. It was like my my armour. Yep. And I remember I used to put heaps of deep heat on, but you can't put your socks on and they get under your arms. I'd be screaming. It was that bloody hot.
I used to call you. Me and Joe used to sit and watch Spudd get ready for a game. We used to call it double demolish. So in England at the time, Spudd had a really bad big toe. It's one of the worst painkiller things I've seen. You had to get a painkiller straight down the top of the big toe. And we used to sit there, but to psych yourself up to get the painkiller, you used to go around like demolish the dressing room, and then so they put it all back together again. You get the painkiller, then they go 2-minute warning, Australia out in 2 minutes, and Spudd had demolished the dressing room for a second time.
I'd yell out to the sheriff, Jersey. That was my last thing, but I remember at Manly, Hop Whitey, and he used to take the piss out of me, and he'd go and hide it. So before the game, I'm trying to find my jersey, and I'd be going ballistic. But that was his way of relaxing, sitting there watching me destroy the place. It just brings some great highlights, doesn't it?
It does.
Were you superstitious?
Yeah, I carried them around, honestly, like burdens. They just become a burden to you, don't they? Elise Perry, I interviewed her last year. She had a very interesting thing on superstitions. I asked her, "Are you superstitious?" She said, "I was terribly superstitious, but I realised I reckoned in my whole mind that if you carry a superstition because you played so good, then in your mind, that's as good as you can play. She said, I swung it the other way and didn't carry superstitions because I always thought that my best was yet to come, which I thought was pretty good.
Yeah, I was the same. I was every day. It was just structured. I used to eat at this place in Marylands, and I have a good feed, and so I go back the next week at the same time. If someone was sitting at my table, I'd wait. It got to a stage where I'd park my car at a certain spot. I'd wait an hour or so before that spot was available. My poor wife, Monique, was going, "You're an idiot."
Oh, so this isn't even just game day. This is every
This
day.
is before. But now I'm so structured in, I get up in the 20 to 5 every morning, cold shower, and I've got a different watch every day. And I wear a different aftershave every day. So I'm just so this is the Thursday watch.
Yeah, right.
I got one tomorrow.
Yeah. I do the same with wives. Trisha's here today. The other 6, I don't know where they are.
They're all interchangeable. Hey, well, we're into the podcast now, but obviously Mark Spudd Carroll, Manly, South Sydney, and Penrith legend.
London Broncos.
Yeah, London Broncos.
Australia, New South
Played for your state, played for your country. Before we kick off a bit of your career, tell us about how you and Matthew first met. Because you guys played rep footy together, right?
Well, yeah, we did. I don't think Spud would remember this, but in the, must have been 1990, 89 or 1990, there was yourself, MG, and Tony Butterfield, 3 Penrith boys. You blokes were all together up visiting Butsy at the Queen's Wharf Brewery in Newcastle, right? And I look over and there's MG and Spud. And those 2 blokes come with quite a reputation. And Butsy goes, come over and meet. I'm like, oh, God, okay. So I went over and said, hey, you introduced, oh, mate, this is a young fella coming through. And, mate, they were so nice. So nice. And I thought, wow, that's unbelievable. In particular, MG, because, MG had the idea, you thought about MG, there was just a crazy lunatic. And I walked away and I said to someone, mate, they're great blokes. And MG, he's nothing like you'd think. Next minute, smash. MG puts the bloke through the big glass door. And the bloke who we went through actually cut half his finger off and had to be taken straight to a hospital. Turns out it was MG's best mate, Spook.
Wow.
Oh, so Spook had said something, and MG's hit him with the left hand and went straight through the glass door of the brewery. So, yeah, I saw the best and worst of MG that night.
Well, I used to play against MG when I was 18. He was playing for St Mary's and I was St Pat's at Blacktown. We're both 5'8".
You're 5'8"?
Both 5'8", yeah. We both had the same haircut, the old bum part. He's now bald as a badger. And then he got great before I did. And the magical thing was we actually played in the same side my last game for Penrith before I went to South. And then we made a pact that we're going to make the Kangaroo Tour, and we did that. And to play a test match with your good mate, but we got into a stink over there. We lost the first test. We always lose the first test for some reason.
Wembley, always, yeah.
At Wembley. And we went out on the drink, well, the emus, so we always wear the shirts out. And we went into a kebab store, and these pommies come in, and they see the Aussie badge. Oh, 1-0, 1-0, 1-0. We're like, yeah, you got your mate. Anyway, as they've left, MG goes, I really want to say goodnight to this bloke. And I knew it was going to go on. So he chases this black cab. And cabs over there, they don't open normal, they open the opposite. And he opened it up, and MG goes, I want to say goodnight. He goes, yeah, cheers, lad. He put his hand out and bang, left hand, snotted him. And then MG walks away, 1-1, 1-1. But as you said, that is so much MG, you know.
Oh, yeah. You guys played State of Origin together, though, as well?
Yeah, we played, that was in 95 and 90.
98 maybe?
97. Tom Raudonikis.
We'll get to that because I want to talk about those series and some of the stuff that went on. But, hey, Spud, how's the band going?
Well, it's not playing at the moment, but we've got a band called the True Sports Rock Band. It's something I've always loved and wanted to do, and we do some good, get-togethers. But my old man was a bass player. He was a bass player for Johnny O'Keefe.
Yeah.
And as a kid,
a lot of our listeners who don't know, Johnny O'Keefe is the first rock and roll legend in Australian rock history.
And as a kid, I just walked in your place, you got a piano and a guitar. Well, I learnt piano up to about 12, and then Rugby League took over. And I remember every Christmas we get a surprise, and I got a guitar and a little Pee-wee amp, and my brother got drum kit. Dad taught me 2 chords, A into a D, A into D, all three into A. And I've just taught myself guitar. My dad always said you got a good ear, which I I don't know, I can hear things pretty good, but now I'm just teaching myself the bass guitar.
Yeah.
And I get dirty on myself because I never ever asked my dad for a lesson. And the bass guitar is the coolest instrument.
Yeah.
I hear you used to play the bass. You tried to.
No,
He tried to play. He tried to play guitar.
I went in once. Jack was getting lessons, and I sat down. The guy's name was Sven, and he goes,
Sven.
He goes, just hold the neck of the guitar. And then goes, oh, you've got small hands. He goes, you ever think about playing bass? I went, yeah, see you, mate.
Well, mate, look, even with these hands here, I can still play the guitar, so that's not too bad.
Did you play while you were did you play guitar while you were playing rugby league as well?
Yeah,
He took the guitar into camp.
don't start. But I'll tell you, in 1990, 23 years of age, England, first time over there 6 weeks, and I went and bought an old shitbox guitar, and the only song I knew back then was Wild Thing in the key of A. Anyway, Bozo used to take the piss out of me. He said, go and get the guitar. So I'd run up, get the guitar, and he'd come down and he goes, nah, take it back. So I take it back. I was like a yo-yo going back and forth. But what happened, I was going to bring it home, and then we're down in France, and these guys, they kept buying these fireworks down there, and they had this one that blows shoes apart. And I said, what we should do is put it in the guitar and blow it up. So before that, someone grabbed a pen and wrote something on the... I got a whole team to write stuff about me. It's in my bar at home. It's like Beatle Mania, but I'm glad I didn't blow it up. But yeah, that was my song, Wild Thing.
Wild Thing.
Yeah, signing of the guitar, Mark Sargent tells a funny story because the bloke's saying, good on you, Spudd, you're a legend. Spudd, great to spend time with you. And Bob Fulton, the coach, wrote, Spudd, why are you here?
Oh, Sarge, remember Mark Sargent, he got an award because he had the room with Martin Bella. Oh my God, Mr. Snore.
Was he seriously the worst roomie?
Oh, he's the worst, mate. He was the worst. Actually, no, the worst. Well, the roomies I've had Brad Mackay. He was the first ever. I'd walk in, he was like doing hamstring stretches. I'm thinking, mate, just go to bed, you know. And then 95. I got selected for the World Cup, and I remember going through the tunnel to go down where we were at Coogee, and we're going, Wayne Bartram, I hate that prick. He's a nit. Anyway, so I walk in, put my bag there, and he comes over and he goes, "There you go, Wayne Bartram, I'm your roommate." I went, "Oh yeah, this is going to be fun." But he was the best roomie. He had the worst jokes. But yeah, good memories.
Yeah. He was a pest. He's one of those blokes that until you meet him socially, you hate him.
Yeah.
Because he'd sledge on the field, he was irritating, but that was a great tour. Geez, we had some good blokes. It was a really young tour.
It was.
Because all the Super League blokes like Ricky and Laurie and Alf, and they
couldn't be selected.
They couldn't be selected. So we took Bozo, they picked a really young side, and we all went away.
Yeah, I think, Matty, they picked 94. It was in the Super League era too. So we finally picked the side on form. I know we lost the first game, but we flogged quite a few sides. Memories of when we played South Africa. Yeah. And Aaron Raper comes in at halftime. We're like 40-0 up.
52-0.
And he goes, guys, we're gonna fire up. And Bozo looked at him and went, "You're kidding, are we?"
He goes, "Mate, fire up. We're up 50 points. How embarrassing. You're back on the bench."
But my favourite part of that game was John Hopewadi scored a try, and he went backwards with his fingers in the air, and he went straight over the fence. He had his shorts back to front.
Yeah. You get it on YouTube, Australia versus South Africa, 95 World Cup, and he scores a try because what had happened in the first test at Wembley, first game of the World Cup in Wembley, mate, Hopper was sledging the crowd and sledging the opposites. Anyways, Hopper dropped a vital ball. They picked it up and won the game. So it was like this running war between English supporters, English press, and Hopper. Anyway, he scores against South Africans, and as Spudd said, he's doing that. Yeah. Went backwards, hit the advertiser, and do a backflip. And then when he stood up, he had his shorts on back the front.
That night before that game, we actually went out, you know. And I had a bit of a dig on the dance floor. Anyway, I see this green shirt go flying. I'm going, "It's Terry Hill." So I go over there and he's getting kicked and he's getting whacked. I grabbed this bloke.
It was in Newcastle upon Tyne.
Newcastle was.
Where it's all the Geordies, very tough.
Anyway, we didn't know, but he some like shoe in there. So I've grabbed this one bloke, I've dragged me back and he's come back, left hook, bang, he's hit me. And I used to wear glasses and disintegrated my glasses and cut me here. And I've just gone whack. Next thing I got thrown out. And going out, I seen Nathan Gibbs. I said, Gibbsy, you got to come and stitch me. So he was half cut. He's trying to, I did a good job. But the next day I had to go and see Bozo, I suppose. I got a black eye. He goes, what happened to you? I said, oh, look, went out last night. You went out? I said, we went out. Terry got into a stink. He used to love Terry back then. And because I got up for Terry. He
loved you.
He goes, well done, son,
Yeah. And then you had to play that day.
Yeah, we flogged them.
Yeah.
We still flogged them.
Yeah, what about the plane trip over in '95? Because talk about how things changed. They went, righto, boys, you're in business class, and we're sending you upstairs. You've got your own section, and like half the blokes in the squad don't really know each other that well, and so we got up there and Bozo said, righto, just tear in. This is what we're going to do. We're going to tear in till Bangkok, get off at Bangkok, you have a shower, not get back on, have a sleeping tablet. Then we'll arrive in Manchester and then get on it till like 1 a.m. in Manchester, help us acclimatise, right? So we start tearing in. Anyway, about 2 hours outside of Bangkok, mate, a couple of the boys, including Wayne Bartram. He was belligerent. Anyway, they came up and went, no more alcohol for these guys. Anyway, they caught him having one. Anyway, one of the fellas got into an argument with one of the flight stewards and all this starts to happen. We go get off the plane. They go, no, don't get off. Anyway, these guys from Cathay Pacific come on with machine guns and said, one more thing out of you blokes, and we'll just land the plane and use anywhere we are and just throw you off. Anyway, remember Bozo's going, come on, I dare you to. Throw us off now. How embarrassing. And Toons was having a go. And poor old Jeff Carr's going, guys, settle down. They're serious, okay?
Great memories.
Spud, mentoring young players, right? We're talking about that before. Like, so you get a lot of time. Yeah, a lot of time. Clubs will send players to you to your gym, but also, mate, you commentate a lot of New South Wales Cup. You go down sometimes, pick a couple of blokes out and challenge them before the game.
Yeah, I do. Most times I go down there, they got no idea who I am. But I just sent them a goal. When I was coming through, especially to getting into first grade, I got graded when I was 19. Didn't play really first grade till 23. And I used to work with a psychologist back then, sports psychologist, not one of those ones you lay down, they swing the watch in front of you. It was all about setting goals and what I had to do each game. And for me as a front rower, I've got to lay a platform, 20 hit-ups, 20 tackles. You're in the top 3 players of the game. And I do the same with the New South Wales Cup guys because I just want people to bash each other. And I'm getting one front rower against another front rower. It's so good to do.
How do you pick them out? Because I remember you come down before one of our Manly Reserve grade games. Remember you came down and give Morgan Boyle a bit of a rev up, giving him because Boyle played a lot of first grade by this stage, and you just said, "Mate, you're too bloody good for this grade. Bloody give it to him." He went out and had a blinder. Actually, Boyle hasn't played a good game since. Now he's retired.
I'm up for rent. I just enjoy seeing people reach their goals. The Toby guy from the Sharks, I think.
Rudolph?
Toby Rudolph. When he played for Newtown, I remember I used to set him goals each game. He was doing 20. He won the grand final. He got man of the match, and he got graded at Cronulla. He's brilliant. Now at the moment I do Paseka, Sipley, Bullymore, and I love Nathan Brown. He was my favourite, the Energizer man from the back fence. And just set them goals. No one knows I do it. And I just said little objectives, what they should be doing, because you've got to lay platforms. I don't give a damn how good your backline is. If you're not laying platforms, you won't win a game.
And a lot of that individual goal setting has sort of gone out. A little bit like Jack. Jack was there and he said, mate, Spud's been coming down in the sheds. And I said, well, mate, you're playing good. Just keep listening to him. How does some players cop it? Because some players just don't like that sort of stuff, or they feel like you're criticising them.
I haven't had that yet. I don't know. I think maybe what's that word? Respect. I don't know, man. If they don't want to do it, they won't. I'll see it in their performance. But every week I'll see it. Like the other day, it was a moving time for me. I went down and spoke with Cody Ramsey, who has come back from St. George. Right? Story. I went down. I just wanted to meet him. I shook hands. He's looking at me going, mate, who the fuck are you? Like, seriously, who are you? And I said, mate, look, you should be so proud of yourself. I got well, to all up a little bit. I'm a very good crier, tearer very quickly. And I said, mate, go out there and show us how much you love this game. And he had unbelievable game.
Yeah, he scored a few tries. Yeah, in that reserve grade game.
Yeah, incredible.
I just love seeing guys achieve what they can.
Because I remember Regan Campbell had a really low spot where Panthers has basically given up on him. You know, he's playing reserve grade, and you went down there and challenged him. At first, he was like, he didn't know how to take it. Did he?
No, he got right in my face with that shit no of his, and I said, you know, I was just speaking to Freddie, which I hadn't. It was in New South Wales. I said, mate, do you want your spot? Go out there and destroy. I want to see if you can do 20 carries. Mate, he did 22, 200 metres the front rower. And then we had a bit of a thing with him the year before Origin, and Freddie asked me to go over to the PCYC to do a boxing session with him.
Yeah.
And I put the pads on. I said, I'll just do the pads. And I got him hitting the ground. I was hitting him in the guts. And then he came up to me and I said, mate, I hear you're a tough bloke. And he was laying up into me. And I was going, bang, left hook. And he chased me around the room. So it brought the best out of him.
Yeah.
You know?
Can I ask you, Spud, like, because your generation was... There's a lot of criticism of today's game where, you know, people say it's not as tough and things like that. You're one of the toughest players of that generation, right? Before the game kind of shifted to a more safer protecting players rules. How do you see the game now? Do you see a lot of these players as tough athletes, or do you see it differently?
No, they're tough athletes. They're true professionals. Like we had to have a job. You know, I used to sell office station and then go to training. They're full-time professionals. To me, I reckon they're all built the same mould. There's no real 6'4" blokes coming through. They're all 6'1", 120 kilo, can bloody move. It's amazing the mobility some of these guys have.
What about, because a lot of people won't know, and a lot of people will, that you were Russell Crowe's private security for quite a while. How long have you and Russell been mates?
Back since 1999. I went to London Broncos in 98 after losing the grand final in 97. Only lasted 1 year over there. Me being the tight ass, it was 3-1. So I'd have a pizza, it was 20 quid. I'm going, $60.
Yeah.
So I ended up coming home back to South, and I just wanted to prove it to myself. I still had it, you know. But I remember before games, like I'm an absolute maniac, and I was always had whichever ground, I'd remember where I sat, blah, 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 blah. And I sat down. Next thing, Tom Cruise walks in. Before a game, I'm going, Tom Cruise? He said, look, he's pretty. He had really nice hair. And then Russell walks in like this, and I went, who the hell is he? Get him out of here. I didn't know who he was. He'd only make one movie, you know. And how you meet people. So he's come up and shook hands, and he says, Russell Crowe. I said, yeah, mate, I know you. I dig your watch. He had a Submariner Rolex on. It's my favourite watch.
Yeah.
I'm going to get one of those one day. And he just went, like that. And then we exchanged numbers, and then he would just ring all the time. I'd be in the car, and he's going, Russell Crowe, he rings all the time. Anyway, for the next 4 years, I retired in 1999, and for those 4 years, I found it very hard to let rugby league go, if you can't tell. And I'd go to one game, and Malik used to do the cheerleaders at South, and Russell would be in the crowd. I'd always go up and say hello. And on the fourth year, I was 36, he said, do you want you to play rugby league for the Rara Valley Axemen? I went, okay, I'm going to give me an answer tomorrow at 9 o'clock. Right, so I go home, I'll see Malik. And she goes, just go and play and bash someone, get it out of your system. I then ring up Desi, my favourite, Desi. Oh, yes, Spud. Mate, I'm telling him I want to get into his network. Don't worry about the money. Hang up.
Yeah.
So Russell rings up the next day and said, how much money you want? I said, I don't want your money. I want to get into your network. And he goes, what do you mean? I said, well, Desi said you laugh. Anyway, so I ended up playing rugby league again at the age of 36 at the Rara Valley. Everyone thought I was flying up on a Learjet. I was one of those propeller planes.
Fokker.
And I had the girl at the start, her first day looking on the bit of paper, welcome to Qantas, QF, whatever it was. And I did 12 weeks of that. I'd go Tuesday, come back, go Wednesday, come back Thursday, play Saturday. I did ridiculous amount of airtime. I'd take my kids anytime at his farm where we were, and I played. We made the grand final. Unfortunately, we lost the grand final, but it was closure for me. And at the presentation night, I got an award and started crying as usual. And then I go to Malika, bloody cry all the time. She goes, have a look at Russell's mum and dad. And she's howling. And she goes to me, what time is it? I went, what? She goes, what time is it? Well, there was a bloody Rolex sitting there.
Oh,
So
really?
he gave me a Rolex for playing footy again. So he's a special character. Unbelievable to watch work, Matty. I got asked to do Cinderella Man.
Yep.
I heard you sort of talk about it the other day on your show for SEN, mate. It's a bloody good movie.
So you acted in Cinderella Man?
No, I didn't act. I was his so-called security, right?
Yeah,
so he asked me to go, and then about 2 days later, he goes, you didn't ask her, did you? Meaning my wife. He goes, look, I'm making the executive decision. It's going to be this, making the kids come over, blah, blah, blah. Josh's birthday, he got to Disneyland. He plans everything.
Gotcha.
He knows exactly where he's going. Toronto, Canada, grid formation, okay, bike ride. So I remember we land in Beverly Hills Hotel, LA. I've got this biggest room I've ever seen. I've got 4 pillows on this bed. Anyway, he does a whistle, and Errol Alcott, it was the physio for Australia, because Russell, we had to turn the movie down or back because he had to learn all these moves, and he threw a punch, and he hit the ground, crying, carrying on. I thought someone shot him. He hit the ground so hard, and he popped his shoulder. So he went through Shane Warne, Errol Alcott. Anyway, we're going for a walk. So I just want to go and see a couple of mates. Mate, we meet Danny DeVito. Come in, boys. He's a fucking midget. But I'll tell you how big his house was. He had one of those, those things, those electric ones and just lean forward.
Yeah. They're like what billionaires get around in.
Oh, yeah.
But through his house, right?
Yeah.
So then we end up
Segway.
There
so
it
we
is.
end up we land in Toronto. It's like -14. Okay, and the funniest thing for me was wherever he goes in the world, he has this gym trailer, and you can put the heaters in there and everything. But he was dying for a shit, and I remember he dropped the load in the dunny, and he couldn't flush because it was frozen. So I had to get the head of security. I said, mate, you're gonna have to fix this. But mate, I'll tell you, it's just I can talk for hours about Cinderella Man. The people I met: Ron Howard, Renee Zellweger, Paul Giamatti.
Yeah,
But
wow.
it's crazy how Ron Howard, for the first month, Russell will be doing all the reading, and the crazy thing about it is this James Braddock, I look like him.
Yeah, Cinderella Man. He was a famous boxer through the Depression years in America.
Yeah, so we get there. The first, and people used to look up and say, oh, Russell's double, because what actors have, they have a double who goes out, and he's got to get the lights right, and they put a cross on the ground. He then leaves, and the guys are going to actually look like Russell. It's crazy, and he wears the same clothes because every day he's got a set structure. But the thing is, I remember with Ron Howard, he said, because he's watching us throw on torpedo passes because they're used to doing this.
Yeah, overhand.
I said, Ronnie, come and I'll bring a DVD out of me and the chief. So I remember I plugged it in, and I had the collision, and he looked back, he goes, you're not wearing any pads. I said, no, but I wear a mouth guard, It broke the ice, mate. Like Russell, he knew I'd do this. He knew what I was going to do. Like I had the whole structure in my hand. I'd sit with him. I'd go for dinner with this bloke. And the thing I love about what Russell does, he's so smart. So you've got 150 people. You got to try and bring them together as quick as you can. And he used to get a per diem, which is the weekly wage, and he'd have a $500 for the worst shirt, right? So... okay, on Fridays, worst shirt, $500. Anyway, the winner's you with that shirt, and I look at you and I got a worse one than you, and blah, blah, blah. So everyone was starting to get together, right? So I got to a stage where I had to buy for our Aussie people, and I went into like a St. Vinny's, and I found out shirts for everyone, and I said this lady, and I was fucking huge. I was 120 kilos, like that. I couldn't move. I had the mobility of an ocean liner. And I said to the lady, and she goes, what about a dress, love? I said, if you get me a dress, I'll wear it. I had this green number. It was that tight. And I remember I'd put my hair back. I had these little socks and my shoes. And I walked down the stairs, and Russell's got what they call a dresser. So he looks after his dress code. He's been on it for 30 years. And he said, Spudd, you're going to embarrass Russ. I said, bugger that, I'm trying to embarrass myself, I'm bored. And I went past the girls in the canteen, and they said, I'll show us some legs. So I pulled the leg up. But the first person I seen was Renee Zellweger. And she walks out and she says, Spud, because I said, I'm your double for today. And then Russell comes out, you're dead. You're wearing that all day. So I wore it all day. Guess what happened? Didn't win the money. But the next week, we did what they call an outdoor. It was on a Friday, and they hire a street and they just make it turn into a magic.
Yeah.
And I remember walking, Russell, he's there, and this guy walks past with a white shirt on and an Australian flag. I went, oh, that's a good shirt. I'm on the back of this shirt. We'll work for shoes or something. 150 people are wearing my shirt.
Oh, wow.
And the first person who comes up was Ron Howard. I said, turn around, Ronnie, I saw his shirt.
Were they nice people like Renae Zellweger? Very nice.
Mate, I'd say Renee Zellweger. Absolutely beautiful. But think about Russell when he's always late. So production's all about money. And he'd buy things like bikes and all this sort of stuff. But he does his research, as I said, Matty, where first one was part of training for boxing. It was cutting stuff with bloody saws, and then we do a heap of bike riding. And I remember we got to Toronto. We walked into this bike shop, and he goes, "That's yours." I went, "Fuck off! It's only got one stem, right? It's called a lefty. It's $5,500." And he goes, "I want a better one than that one." He got this thing that was like on glide, it was like on water. But we go for a bike ride, and he wouldn't let anyone pass him. It was like right, seriously. So I got to a stage where I got a speedo, and I'm like up his backside. Anyway, this one particular time, I raced him down the street. He didn't know I was going to do it. And I was just watching the gear change, and then the rules were you weren't allowed to stand up. So I've gone past him. He stood up and said, "Oh, you're gone," and I've just gone flying past him. And there was a cameraman right there going, and made the pages of the paper, and we never went down that street again.
Did you, as a security guard, were there any like dangerous situations? Like, were you ever put in a situation where you had to sort of diffuse anything, or?
Not outside. Like I can scare people with my eyes to get out of my face. But the only time we had one thing, it was back at the hotel, level 15. We had a bar, and Russell's were just telling stories and whatever. He can talk underwater. And there was these three kids over here wearing the Rolex watch, the Louis Vuitton shoes, all this sort of stuff. And one of them had a camera waving. I said, "Look," and Russell goes, "I'll just go and buy some drinks." So I bought some drinks. Starts waving. I said, "Mate, put the bloody thing down where you got your drinks." Anyway, and he gave me a bit of mouth. So I just went over to him, and I said, "Mate, what's your problem, right?" And I watched him. He put his glass like that. He was going to try and glass me, right? So I grabbed him like that, and next thing, everyone's trying to stop everything, and I then come back, and then he went walkabout, and then he came in with these two blokes, and they were really stocky, and the background they were ice hockey. Right, and they were bluers, I reckon. That's what they told me.
Goons.
And Russell looked at me, and I could tell by his eyes, "Go and sort these blokes out." So I went over, and this bloke got in front of me and goes, "Do you stick a bit?" And I said, "What do you reckon?" Like as in fight. Anyway, you won't believe it. They leave. We go to bed. We get a phone call at 3 o'clock. Russell, we got to go down. He caught the coppers. And he's behind the coppers doing, he's giving it me, right? I'm like, "I don't want to get you."
What, the bloke?
Yeah, he was sitting behind this copper saying, I brutally attacked him. I said, "Mate, I didn't grape you."
Yeah, wow. Okay, so I can imagine with Russell, everything around him, there's people always want something.
They do. But he's such a generous person, Matty. The amount of watches he's bought people, Rolexes, and I sort of understand why he does it, because his main thing is if you fall on hard times, you got something you can sell, and something which sort of goes up in price. But just to see some work, the detail, you can tell by the way Souths are with their dress code, and everything's got to be stitched perfect.
Professional.
He's so picky.
Yeah.
He's so picky.
Okay, Spud, you're in chief, and I lived through that. I saw it. It was. Oftentimes people will talk about their greatest rivals, and they'll say, "Mate, when we went across the line, mate, it was on." But then straight after the game, there was so much respect. We'd have a beer and everything. Yours was not a friendly rivalry. It was one that it was on the field and extended off the field as well.
Yeah, certainly did. It started in 1994. Remember we were playing Manly v Newcastle, Brookvale Oval, first trial. And, you know, when you're training for those 3 months, you're lifting weights. Like, I got to lift cars, man. It was just ridiculous. But I had no mobility, but I could bloody hit. And they put like a reserve grade side on, and all the big knobs were sitting up, so the butts and you guys were sitting up the top there, and the chief. And this young bloke, and I kept saying to me, mate, I said, this is like target practice, because these blokes were just going straight, bang, bang. Anyway, someone shot this bloke low, and he's come down. I got him high, put him to sleep, snored him, and they reckon that they've all looked at each other. We're going to give this Mark Carroll next time they play him, because I just wasn't up against the chief. I was up against Butts as well. You know, Butts with his boils. What about his boils?
Yeah.
What, he's got bad blood.
Yeah, Butsy, who played in our team, Tony Butterfield, you know, really underestimated as far as front rowers and toughness. But Butsy would break out in boils all over his body. So you just see blokes tackle him in the game and go,
Get away.
Yeah, well, that is in your blood. They reckon that's as soon as you get a scratch or anything, boils come straight up. There's a few boys. Tino Farsor-Malawi, same thing.
Really?
Boil boy.
But mate, when they played Spudd, like Chief and Butsy would just come to life.
Oh, you can
and I remember that day in that game. They were sitting up there and they saw that, and they were like, right,
so
it's fucking on.
Every game, I don't know, it's just something about him, man. He was thinking the same as me. I got him to do a chapter in my book, and I said, don't hold back. I want to see what was playing in your mind. But the thing is, the whole lead up to a game, you've got to think, I've got Manly, Bozo, I've got Terry Hill spitting at me, I've tubes under me at the time. I've got a mum who's 5 foot tall saying, Mark, don't hurt anyone. I've got a dad who rings up and says, get the first shot in, hangs up. That's my build up to the week. But leading up to that game, 95, I was the first person to get what they call LASIK with my eyes. I used to wear contacts. I had shit house eyesight, and I used to wear contacts. And in that 95, this is how it all started. We played City versus Country down in Illawarra there, Wind Stadium, and it absolutely pissed down rain. And we thought the game was going to be abandoned, but we actually ended up playing. But what happens with wet conditions, mate, you can't step. It was so good. Everyone's just going straight lines. And I went ballistic, chasing Chief and trying to get him as hard as I could. And poor old Nick Kosef is a great man, 4 knees. He's had 4 reconstructions. And they turned the ball back inside, and before I had the operation, I used to wear contacts. So I said one of my contacts had come out, so I could only see one eye, so I'd close. And they turned the ball back inside, I just went whack, and I've had a head collision. I put his nose over to his ear.
Nick, yeah.
And I ended up getting picked for Origin that year. And then the build up for the Newcastle, the Knights. You got to remember this. Him and I are playing for Australia the week before. We're actually rooming together.
So you and Chief roomed together?
Oh,
once.
yes.
Once.
Yeah.
And
in State of Origin camp.
State of Origin.
Game 1, State of Origin.
And
right?
how did you, obviously you didn't like each other on the field, but was that off the field as well? Like, did you not like each other?
Well, I remember he went up to Kari, the manager, and said, I can't do this. I'm not doing this. And they said, mate, you've got to do this. So the beds, they were 2 like single beds. And I slept like this. I was waiting for action.
Oh, mate.
You know,
It was full on. Chief came up to me and goes, mate, they're being smart asses. I went, why? They said, Spudd and I are rooming together. He said, Chimpy, there's no fucking way. I'm going up now. And Chief went up and said, I'm telling you now, I'm not rooming with him. And I think it was Gus intervened and said, mate, you room with him or fuck off back to Newcastle.
Well, how was the small talk? Because when you're in roomies, sometimes you put a movie on, you kind of talk. What are you talking about?
Yeah, before a game, we're roomies. I'm going to grab you by the neck and say, let's go. We're going to do that. He'd want to fight me, but he was the worst roomie. Nothing worse. You only wake up in the morning, he just went bang, open up the back cave. Everything's like bright lights, but it was just one of those things. Like, as I said, then we got selected to play for Australia. And Bozo's the coach, and he's supposed to be taking bullets for me, and I'm doing that for him, playing for Australia. We turn up on the Monday, Bozo's into me. He's better than you. You're weak. He's going to get the better of you. I'm like, this is inside my belly. And then Terry starts spitting again, and then Tubes. And just the lead up to that game, remember we drove up, and the crowd was, I think it was the biggest crowd. It had 33,000 people.
They could fit 30 into the ground. People were jumping over the fence, 33,000 there.
And first thing you do, you go and, I was one of these guys, never went on the field until I ran out there, went at the sheds, and, mate, it's soaking. It's like, must have had like a centimetre of water in there.
Yeah, we used to do it.
Anyway, so I got size 15 feet, and I sat in an area every time I sat in the same error. So, you put your figure eights and stuff in, and I'm walking through. It was like walking through piss, and I'm on my tippy toes. I don't want to get wet. And I'm sitting there, and they put my socks on. Next thing I sort of, they're going like this, and the stuff's coming off the roof. I'm going, what the heck's going on? And then I could feel some sort of perspiration. I'm going, what's going on? There was a little window of opportunity right there, and these kids just spitting on me. Right, this before a game.
Yeah, there used to be like, so we used to have a window there. So, but we took all the slats out of the window, the glass one, so that the fans could look in and do whatever they want, yell abuse. We go in there the day of the game. Me and Andrew would just hose out the dressing room, so there was like six inches of water, block the drains, mate. We'd wet the roof. Then they'd say, right, I turn off the hot water in the plumbing system.
You guys are bad blokes.
So the way this game, so the game's about to erupt. We kick off, and I think it was the second play. They threw like a face ball at the chief, and I've just gone bang in. Next thing we have a fight on the ground, and he pulls my jersey over my head, and this goes whack. And I had 18 stitches. That opens up straight away. And I remember going in the sheds, and the trainer's going, get him on the field. So the bloke got, the staple gun out.
Yeah.
It was like a machine gun into my head. We go out there, and then Bozo at half-time goes, son, it's not a personal war. I said, Bozo, go piss off. It's game on. And I remember we scored a try, Hopewadi in the corner.
Yep.
We packed the scrum. And as Chief's leaving, I've come through, and I've crow-pecked him as hard as I could in the back of the head. And I said, you've got nothing, And then we scored in the corner, Hopewadi, finger raised.
Yep, he did, yeah.
And then someone then said to your silly brother to kick off to me.
Yeah. Because what happened behind the line, right? He'd hurt his groin, Chief, and our trainer come on and he was limping around and said, mate, you got to get off. And just previous to that, for that try, you crow-pecked him. And he was going nuts. And he said, I'm fucking not going off. I want one more tackle, and said to Joey, kick off at Spudd, right? Oh. And Joey went, no, I'm not doing it. We all went, Chief, it's a bad idea. And the trainer's going, get off, Chief, get off. And he said, fuck off. I'm coming, but I'm taking him with me. And Joey's like, I said to Joey, mate, Joey, don't kick off. Just kick the other side. And then Chief said, I'm telling you now, kick off. So Chief got his wish, kicked off, and then...
Those people that haven't seen it, it's the collision of the century in rugby league. What are your memories of it? Because it was like a car crash.
Yeah, no, it was. Well, as I try and teach these young guys, run from the back fence. And one of my idols was Jeff Robinson, back then, the Western Newtown days. And his philosophy was, the harder you run, you don't get hurt. So I was running as hard as I could. But my goal was to get to the 20-metre line. Good structure, then we'd go. Mate, it just happened at the corner of my eye. I seen him coming in from here, and I was a right-hand carry, and I don't know, I just turned. He got me airborne. I did like a 360 land on the ground, and I get up. I remember I played the ball, and I can't remember the second row's name. I hit him, but then I hear Cement screaming, now give it to him, and poor bugger's snoring, and Chief's winding me up. Cement's winding me up, and I'm like over the top of him, give him this boring spray, whatever I said. And then Tubes comes in. I actually pushed Tubes away, my captain, which is, you hype that up. But then people saying, how do you get up? I said, mate, I'm all worried about my dad jumping over the fence and kicking me up the arse.
Yeah. So did you black out at all when it hit?
No.
You didn't black out.
He hit my shoulder. I was fine, actually. No.
Yeah. But just an idea for people how nasty this relationship got. It become more than a rivalry on the field. Is that we went away at the end of the year in England. It was really funny because Newcastle and Manly, we were just arch enemies, had some epic games. But went away in the World Cup tour, we all actually got on really good, the Newcastle blokes and the Manly blokes, except for Chief. And on one day, I'm sitting on the bus with you, we're on the way to training, and me and you are laughing, having a laugh, and I just turn, and Chief is just staring at me and like not taking his eyes off me, and I go, oh shit. So I put my eyes to the front. 2 minutes later, I turn back around. He's still just staring at me. He was saying to me, why the fuck are you laughing and talking to that bloke? Wow. That's what he was, yeah.
When you, I suppose now, like looking back on that moment and your whole career, is that the moment in your career that everyone stops you for? Everyone asks, footy fans want to ask you about?
Yeah, it's quite incredible. I've had a gym now 20 years, and the amount of sort of council workers going past and honk the horns. I love that hits, but I mean, mate, in some ways get a life. But then again, I've made a thing in their brain or their mind, remember that. So, and Chief knows that. I've said to him, mate, we formed a legacy. You'll never see a collision like that ever again. No. You'll never see it. Like, it's just two blokes just 110 kilo running into each other. As I just said, it's like a car crash. And, mate, he got me a couple of good times, don't get me wrong. Of Sydney Football Stadium, I remember coming out the line, he's turned his hips. I've just gone, and I kept getting up, bang, hit the ground, up, bang. I was taking divots out of the footy stadium.
That was grand final day, wasn't it? You kept...
And I remember getting back got in the defensive line and screaming to the sheriff, salts, remember the smelling salts?
Yes.
Salts. I used to go off my head on smelling salts. Do this, and then you go again. But some of the
all the Manly boys still rip into the smelling salts.
Mate, I got to say, all the tricks, you guys had mate, we learnt so much of you as far as tricks are concerned, as far as little things like, so back in the day, there was unlimited interchange. So you could just go, but however, when it got to test level, it was 4 interchanges, went back.
That's right.
And, we were sort of used to, our big forwards like Chief and Spudd and David Gillespie used to unlimited interchange, so that was going to be a real challenge. So the sheriff used to go, no worries, boys. It's still, if you go off with a blood bin, it doesn't count as a replacement.
Right.
So he used to carry, sheriff used to carry a little razor onto the field, and he'd go up to you. You'd take a knee, and he'd walk up and go, hang on a second, and just go nick your eyebrow a little bit, sputtered bleed, and then you go off the field.
Oh, really?
Well, the biggest one for me was 1995 World Cup Grand Final. We're playing at Wembley, and I just brought so many great memories because my mum's English. I remember going across there when I was about 12, 13, and we went on a tour there, and they've got the number of steps up before when the soccer guys get up the top, raise the trophy. There's so many steps you walk up, and because I was still at school, and they said, the Aussie kid take these other kids up. So I'm out walking up, and they switch on a crowd of 90,000 people. And I remember picking up the trophy, give it a kiss like this, and I walked off, and they said, give it back. These kids could have a bit of a go. So in the back of my mind, I still remember my dad had a Kodak camera back then, going, and going, my son will play here one day. And I ended up doing that. I flew mum and dad across. And crazy thing about that game, as you said, any sign of blood, and Bozo come up. I had 18 stitches here again. My whole year was stitched. And he goes, what do you think? I went, yeah, but I'll do it. So I remember going and seeing doctor, and I said, give me a scalpel. You do it. He goes, no, I'm not doing it. So give it to me. And I remember going in, I went, nick. And this blood just went smashing, tied it up. And Bozo said, give me 20. And I went hardest I could go, first 20. And then sheriff come on, took the tape off, but it sort of concealed a bit. So he went like that and it started pouring. Did it for the whole game, right? So we win the grand final. We're on the drink for 2 days. Anyway, my eye is a mess. I come back to Sydney and I go like a plastic surgeon. He looks down, he goes, son, this is the neatest cut I've ever seen. And I'm thinking, mate, you don't want to know. You don't want to know.
Yeah. It's funny, isn't it, like how coaches exploit the rule. Obviously now they've got the HIA rule where you can get a free interchange if somebody's had a head knock. Mate, like, you just know sometimes. Someone gets a half knock and he lays down and he goes, right,
when
we
it
get
was
him
unlimited interchange, like Bozo was the king. So it was like gridiron. We put Cliffy on for attack, and then he can't defend, so we take him off. Mate, he would have got dizzy.
Like, in like 97 we played you guys. I'm sorry, actually it was 95, and we're getting repeat sets. But every time we put the ball in the in goal, you know, repeat sets. 2 of the Manly forwards put their hands off, straight change.
Oh, so just and
then we could get another repeat set, change again. It was unlimited. So back in the 2000 grand final, I think Brisbane made 48
it's like AFL
replacements.
How many does AFL do?
I'm sure theirs is unlimited now.
I don't remember.
Some of the blokes over the years. Right, let's talk about Tom Raudonikis.
Yeah.
Now you were ground zero as far as cattle dog. you threw the first punch.
Yeah, but the build up, you got to know the build up is. I'm actually gonna have drinking my beer because my throat feels like.
Go on.
There it is. Spudweiser.
Yeah.
It's a great name.
That's good.
Just quietly.
It's good. Nice beer.
Yeah, you meet someone, Tom Raudonikis. First day we get into camp, and he goes, I effing hate these blokes. And he swore in front of Liz Steed. He goes, excuse me, Liz. And he goes, okay, we're gonna bash them. It's okay. You go, now go and get your gear on. We're going out. Make sure you wear your good gear. So we go out, right? I remember dragging him out of some place, 6 o'clock in the morning, and he used to wear the glasses. He had the string. Yeah. The string be all his hair, right? Anyway, so I remember sitting there and he goes, okay, and we're going to have a call, and you're going to call the catalogue. And we used to do it, and we're going to do it. And then, Joey goes, mate, we're not doing it. We can't do that, Tommy. He goes, we're doing it. So game 1, we won. Second game, I think we won. Going to game 3, I'm thinking to myself, this bugger's going to call the catalogue, and I'm going to have to throw the punch because I'm thinking, will the chief throw it? I'm going to do it. So I remember the way the game was going. We got a penalty on the other side, Sydney Football Stadium. I ran up, and Clint... what's his name? Played for the Crushers. Weren't they a great side? I can't remember.
Crushers. Clinton Moore? No.
I can't remember the guy's name. Anyway, I put him to sleep, and he come flying in, bang. And I remember we did a backline play, and I'm sucking worms out the grass, and the winger dropped the ball, and I'm going, oh, how good's this? And I remember the trainer running on, and he's going, catalogue! Catalogue! Oh, no. So I remember I got there, and I said, Chief, I've got it. Because we used to fight for the strike. Like back then, you could actually step on half backs.
Try to win the...
I used to wear the 18, 20 mil studs, where we'd fight for the strike side, right? And I said, Chief, I've got it. And I remember saying to Beaver, Beaver, don't hold on so hard on my right. And I said to Joey, stay loose, catalogue. He goes, oh, you're kidding, are you? and the poor bloke who come on was that Craig Smith from Illawarra, St. George Illawarra. And he's just come on. And I thought of this because it was only about 3 cameras back then, Matty. Like now they're everywhere, right?
Yeah, you can get away with it.
There's no camera over there. And as he's gone to bind on, he was just going, I just went, whack. I threw this punch. It was that best punch. It's the only punch that's ever landed. And he's on the ground convulsing. And then I'm sort of throwing punches. And then you remember, see, Joey tried to take God out on him. Got the shit punched out of him. But the crazy thing about it was Tommy gets me a headlock after the game. He was a mad smoker, like camels, like he had the breath of 40-hour stations. And he got me a headlock. He's, oh, I love you, Spudd, I love you. I said, Tommy, you're going to get me sighted. Anyway, I did get sighted. Bozo pulled a few strings.
Yes.
The next time we played that St. George Illawarra, he chased me everywhere.
Craig Smith.
Yeah, he chased me everywhere. And I grabbed him to the side and said, mate, unfortunately, you were the cattle dog.
Yeah, mate. Isn't it funny, like you just said about Bozo there and the judiciary? Here's another thing, like, that you guys find, well, it's funny, but how unusual it is for these days. I remember once, it was after the test match, because we played the Origin, you got suspended, and we played the test match, and you still had a bit of suspension to run. There was a appeal, I forget what it was. Anyway, the head of the judiciary walks in, and Bozo's there, and Bozo goes, I'm standing there talking to Bozo, this bloke walks up, and Bozo goes, oh, fucking here he is. Right? He goes, g'day, Bob. It's nice to meet you. He goes, yeah, please. Wish I could say the same. And he goes, and there's this awkward silence. Anyway, the judiciary is so nice. He just goes, Bob, I'd just like to say this. I've admired your career all the way through, and it's just like a dream to meet you. He goes, oh, fucking you hear that, Matty? Listen to that. How fucking embarrassing. Listen to this bloke fucking trying to worm me in his good books. Fuck off. Hey, mate, I'm fucking telling you now, Spudd's going to the judiciary. I'll tell you what, if you want to remain my friend, he fucking better get off, right?
Remember that, Bobble?
Oh, please.
Take me over to the catalogue for 1 sec. Did Beaver throw a punch?
Beaver, mate, please. Mate, the worst injury he ever got was a cork. Like, seriously. I remember this particular year, as I said, 1995, this poor eye of mine, I took 180 stitches for Beaver. He scored so many tries, and I got 180 stitches. But I remember one time, I was playing second row, actually, in 94, when I got I used to switch a bit, and Bozo had this thing about blindside second rowers, and Beaver was a blindside, and I'm absolutely root. I said, Beaver, let me have a rest. So I packed in. We win the game, go to training, and we used to have this little, it's probably as big as this room, and Bozo had this bloody high chair, and I'd sit here, I'm sort of watching the video, and it goes past, and he just goes, it's just frozen. I'm going, I could feel the presence of this prick looking at me, I'm going, And I'm like, and he goes, he's a blindside second rower, do your job. I look at Beaver, Beaver's going to do it. Yeah, he does. Bloody Beaver. The thing I love about Beaver, Matty, which pisses me off in life these days, you got to earn respect. So Beaver was the sort of guy, he'd only answer a question when you asked it. He wouldn't sort of come in, blah, blah, blah. Whereas you see these young kids now, mate, it's not just rugby league, it's life in general, mate. There's not enough respect.
It was terrifying going into the first grade side, the NRL, because you'd walk in there and all these blokes would be sort of giant figures, and you just sat there, you just shut your mouth until you were spoken to. Remember third game in 95, second game in 95, the game at the MCG, word starts to filter through to Gus that, mate, they're going to double down. Fatty's got them, they're going to double down. They beat us in game one. We're going to get out there in game two. We're going to throw them off completely. We're going to put a stink on in the first couple of minutes, right? So he goes, righto. So he brings in a boxing trainer, and he's got everyone like holding the boxing mitts. Remember that? So the starting lineup, Beaver's in the starting lineup, right? And they're going along the line, and Gus is watching, and Beaver's literally going. Like it's like he's knocking on the door. Anyway, Gus just sits there and goes, yeah. I tell you what I'm going to do, boys. I'm going to put Beaver on the bench and Dean Pay, you're going to start.
You think about that game, I actually finally made Origin 95, finally my first game. And then we went down Manly. We played Canberra down there. Remember C4 Oval, like it was that slippery. And Dave Ferner went down the blind side. As he went to pass, he sort of drifted down, bang, I've hit him hard. And I got 1 week for that. So I missed out the Origin because of that hit.
Right, but it's time for a thing called Tough Talk. Where we covered a couple of these off, but this is one where we need a response.
The tough questions, Spudd.
Tough questions.
Have you done your research?
Dad puts his journalist hat back on.
Yeah, back on.
Yeah, and he asks the Buzz Rothfield questions.
Okay.
Mate,
Spahn, how are you,
got
mate?
here toughest man you ever played against. No, we'll talk about that a little later on Lone Survivor. But the softest player, we've already talked about that, Beaver. Okay, we're at this one, Spud. The great front rowers of your era. I want you to rank them 1 to 5. Glenn Lazarus, Ian Roberts, Paul Harrigan, Mark Carroll, Shane Webke. Okay. Wow. So firstly, let's go. Where do you rank Ian Roberts as far as 1 to 5?
Probably, out of that bunch, probably 5.
Number 5. Okay. Yeah. Righto. Who you got number 4?
Probably
so you got
myself or the Chief. Yeah,
Chief 4?
3 or 4, yeah.
Yeah, right. I'll go in 4. Okay. Shane Webke, where have you got him? 2. Mark Carroll, where does he sit?
Just in 3. Just ahead of the Chief.
Okay. And that means Glenn Lazarus number 1.
He was.
Was he? Do you have him as the best front rower of all time?
Yeah. How many grand finals? He won 4 grand finals, different sides. To see him, I toured with him in 1990. What he did to the Pommies. But one drill he did teach me, and I've always done that, is because he's mobile. He was so good in mobile. And he never landed his back. It was always on his tummy, quick play the ball, get up. But it was like a 10-metre routine. I know you guys used to do different things, but run 10, hit the ground, left 10, right 10, back for a minute, set of 6. And that's just helped me in my game. But Lazo, he's a cranky prick.
Oh, how cranky was he?
Mate, he was a cranky. I remember in like 1990, he came home, I think it was in France, and he's kicked this bloody chair, went straight through the window, right? But we had to pay his bill. It was part of our thing. He got away with murder.
I turned up at the Aussie camp once. We'd just been beaten by the Cowboys, and the Cowboys were struggling in those days. And I walk into camp, Lazo's the first one I see, and I go, oh, fuck, here we go. I went, Lazo, and he just went, beaten by the Cowboys, huh? I went, yeah. He goes, fucking dogs. That was it. And remember the one, in the 98 Origin series, we're going down, and Chief and him had a little bit of words after game 1. So we're going down for game 2, going down the bonding night's going to happen that night. And, mate, Chief's really agitated, and he's going, because he's had to deal with you, and then you've gone to England, now he's having to deal with Lazo. And he goes, mate, Chimpy, he just keeps saying all the time that he's better than me. Mate, I'm not going to, I tell you, and we're going, don't worry about it. He's going, no. If he starts it, I'm just going to pull him on. I'm thinking, fuck, this will be good. So we're at the Bourbon and Beef Steak, and we're all standing there having a beer. Next minute, Lazo just walks up and goes, so, how's it feel to be the second best front rower in this squad? And Chief just goes, that's it. Fucking get out the front.
Mate, I hear all these stories, and because Lazo used to come to Melbourne Storm old boys days, and he would come into the sheds after the game, wouldn't be able to pick it from the stories that you tell, just because just how nice he is now.
Mate.
And then I hear you guys tell stories about just him being an arsehole.
So I get out the front. Lazo's just standing there with his beer, just saying nothing. Anyway, mate, everyone's had to get between them. And the press knew about it, but nothing got reported. Yeah. What a difference.
Amazing, wasn't it?
Okay.
What a good
Can
time.
I ask you a question, Matty? What was the Chief like leading up to that week when we used to get on?
He was always really edgy. Chief, when going into big games, he was a very good leader, but he would become very insular. He'd go in himself, and I towards the back end or the middle 90s for Chief, when his body was just starting to fail him, he'd barely train that week. Yeah. So he'd get there like Chief Spudd, which a lot of the things that people don't see about Chief was the fact that what it took him to get on the paddock. So, but that last year he played in, last 2 years, 98, and he played a quarter of the season, 99, and just pulled the pin. Yeah. He would turn up to training before everyone and just be on the massage table being rubbed. He'd sit there, right up, and wait. About 10 minutes in, he'd just go and start walking up and down the hill at Newcastle, and then he'd come and join in the last 10 minutes of ball work and then go back on the massage table. That was every training session. And you just going, how can he do this? When he was playing against you, he knew what was coming. The coach knew what was coming. We all knew what was coming, and so he just wouldn't train at all.
Yeah, I thought it was going to happen again in 1999. I came back and played for South, and we're playing Newcastle. And it was all in the papers, Spudd and the Chief, and all the nervous energy gets into it. And then we get in the game, and he pulls out. Yeah. And Lomax, one of the Lomax brothers.
Yeah, Dave.
And him, I'd been out for 4 weeks, and my dad would ring up, didn't say much, son, your timing's going to be out a bit, hit him with a shoulder charge. So I remember Garlo kicked off, Garlo's Pies, kicks off.
Garlo's
and I
Pies.
said, snap this bloke, I'm going to hit him. In my head, I think it's the Chief. Right? Yeah. Mate, I hit him straight on the chin, snoring, we get the ball back. Win that game. Didn't win any that year, but remember the next game was up at North Queensland, and John Lomax, remember, he was a dirty bastard.
Tough,
but dirty bastard. Anyway, he's come out the paper, I'm going to give it this Mark Carroll for giving my brother a serve. And I said to Garlo, go low, I'm going to drop this bloke. Anyway, mate, he was snoring so loud. But guess what? I got picked the next week in Origin.
Yeah, right.
So good, so bad luck.
Yeah, mate. What are some of the right? Here we go. And Chief retired after that game too. That South Sydney game, we played Cronulla the next week, and he retired.
Okay, well, that's good.
Remember, he's in the shed, come up, and he's just in tears. And I thought, don't tell me he's lost $5 because he wasn't tied up.
Was he a tight ass?
Oh yeah,
really?
Oh mate, he'd go to Sizzler. And mate, we'd walk into Sizzler, and he'd just go, and people, wherever he went in Newcastle, people would go, it's the Chief. So we walk into Sizzler, and he'd go, yeah, I might have the hibachi chicken with the shrimp fry and the side with the potato, no sour cream, and I'll get the salad bar as well. And I go, no problem, Mr. Harrigan. That is $25. And you go, how's about half price? And people, you see him just go, oh, okay. Fuck. And they go, oh, okay.
Mate, one of the boys at Storm, talk about tight asses, used to, at Cheeky Monkeys, our local cafe, when you add avocado to the chili scrambled eggs, used to be about $5 or $6. Avocado these days, very expensive when you go to a cafe. So there was a Woolies across the road. He used to order it and then run across the road, get an avocado, and give it to the chef to cut up and put on his thing because it was only $2 from the chef.
That's like someone who buys vodka at a bottler because it's cheaper, and then he might walk into a pub.
He's sitting in this room as well.
Sick. Bad man, Jack. Okay. Right, as far as front rowers, right? Mm-hmm. I'm not going to say softest front rowers, but if you had to pick a front rower you played against that you could play against him every single week, who would it be?
Every single week.
Yeah, you could play. You can pick a player that you played against, and you can play against that front rower every single week. Which one do you select?
Well, the Chief always brought the best of me, but if I could do that every game, far out, it'd be buggered.
Yeah, it would be a long season.
It'd be full on. But like I said, I'm glad in my life that he's one of my mates now.
Yeah.
Not many people can say that.
Yeah.
You guys used to bash the shit out of each other, but at the end of the day, as soon as we crossed that line, that was it. Like he caught me when I lost my father. I did the same with him when he lost his dad. And it sort of shows you how life is so short. But then I said to the chief, we formed a legacy, and I'm proud to be half of that.
Yeah, it's cool. Like, it is, when you look back in your career now, Spud, like, in the moment, you have so much competitive juices inside. It's your opposition front row where you're competing for rep spots. Like, to that, in that moment, it's everything. You're so angry, but,
Is Muhammad Ali without
Joe Frazier.
No.
I think it drives you to be the best player, right?
Yeah, it certainly does.
Talking about Muhammad Ali, the great Russell had over for the Cinderella Man was Angelo Dundee.
Angelo Dundee, who's a legendary trainer of
The
Muhammad
trainer.
Ali.
I remember when I met him, he had beautiful hands, and he'd always rub your hand like this, but he's held the pads for the greatest, that being Muhammad Ali. And I remember he said, because I bloody look like this Braddock, he goes, stand in front of that photo. So I stand in the front, and back then they used to fight like this.
Yep.
It was like a silhouette.
Yeah.
He goes, you are this cat. I went, oh, calm down. But, mate, to have him there, I know we're just going back to it, but Cinderella Man, Russell thought he was a boxer. He's such a method actor. He's just, moving. It was just one of those great things, but they learned so much from, because he knew that era of fighting.
Yeah, Dundee. Yeah. Okay, Spud. Okay, is it true, because Bozo would always give it to about this, it was a big running joke in the World Cup. Did you wear hair gel in your hair during training and games, Spud?
Never hair gel, it was mousse.
Moose. There you go.
And also aftershave.
Did you wear aftershave in a game?
I used to love it. I love aftershave. I squirt about 70 times a day.
Yeah, that's the next question. How many times?
Anyway,
So remember, Bozo would always go, look at this bloke. Look at this is about to get embarrassing. We're going to do some fitness, so he sweats and the mousse goes into his eyes.
But I can't help it. I've got hair. A lot of blokes have got no hair. People say that I dye my hair. No. I've actually, the funniest, when I was about 13, I remember my dad come home and he had a perm. I mean, that looks fucking cool. I want to get a perm. So I got a perm and I went to school and they called me Mike Brady. And I used to have one of those forks.
Oh, yeah. The gangster fork.
And then another one, when I was in England, for the London Broncos, I'm bored. And I said, Malik, I'm going to go and dye my hair. She goes, just go and do it. So I went to like a nice salon and I paid a shitload for it. I'm as white as your shirt because it took so long because my hair's so thick. Anyway, I remember coming home and my dad rings up. He goes, right, but the thing is about my hair, within 2 weeks I look like a skunk because all the roots started growing. Oh my gosh.
Okay, Spud. The aftershave, 75 sprays a day.
70.
70. Sorry, that's wrong.
That's now still 70 a
Easy.
day?
Is that a
I
superstition?
can go through 100 mil in about a week and a half.
Yeah, wow.
But I've got different aftershaves for certain days.
Yeah.
So I've got one in my car. The one I use at the gym is a Beckham range. You get them cheap, $15. They smell fantastic.
So that's the Beckham for training.
Beckham for training.
Yeah.
But the main ones I like are Chanel.
Yeah.
Blur. I've got Hermes. I got it. It's Hermes.
Yeah, Hermes.
Hermes.
Yeah,
Got
Hermes,
Hermes. And my last one I've just bought, it was a shitload of money, was Creed Aventus.
Oh, you're right.
It's big money. But I'll tell you what, it's a pants puller.
Oh, is it?
Yes.
Is it good?
Yeah, okay.
Hear that, Trish?
Yeah, that's a great... And this isn't even a live read. So that's, mate, if anyone's listening...
Righto. To finish with Spud, we're going to do a thing called Lone Survivor. Can you explain
Yeah,
it?
I'll explain it, right? So what happens is, the category for this one is the toughest player you've ever shared a field with.
Shared field.
So that'll give you
opponents,
two options.
Yeah.
You pick between them, and then it's just kind of
Okay.
another option. You keep picking until we're left with one.
Okay.
Before we start this, can I ask you one question? Who do you see in the modern game right now? Who's the toughest player?
Toughest player.
Yeah, in the modern game right now.
Wow. It's so hard to pick. I've got some favourites, but they're not. They're tough in their own way, but they're not really tough. Front row. I like Fisher Harris.
Yeah, he's pretty tough, isn't he?
I reckon these blokes
plays
who-
hard.
Any bloke who gets a tattoo on the calf, they're tough.
Leota, tough guy.
Oh my gosh.
No, they're good.
I heard a great story about him that he'd always be late for training, and why? Because he was coming from work and then he'd have to catch a train. He used to run to Penrith. Anyway, Gus ended up getting him a job, and it's just after about 3 months he rang up the place. He was a mechanic, and the mechanic said, mate, I'll tell you what, can you send me a few more like this bloke? He's phenomenal.
Right.
You can see the way he plays.
His work rate.
You know?
Crazy,
Incredible.
Wow.
Yeah.
Righto, Spud. So we're going to go toughest players you shared a field with. Okay, to start with, Steve Folkes or Paul Seranen?
Folksy.
Steve Folkes or Peter Tunks?
Steve.
Steve Folkes, Glenn Lazarus.
Lazo.
Glenn Lazarus, Trevor Gilmeister.
Oh, mate, he cut me in half once and he cut my leg in half. I'll go Gilly for his defence.
Okay, Trevor Gilmeister, Steve Roach. Or Blocker.
Wow. But if you want, I'll go Blocker. That left hand of his.
Oh,
So good.
no.
But even Bundy used to get along quite a bit, but Blocker,
That's the next one. Steve Blocker Roach, Les Davidson.
Bundy.
Yeah.
I mean, he was one of my idols going down to the south. So I used to try and grow my hair with a mullet. I tried to grow a mo. I could only get about 4 hairs there.
Was Cat Weasel looking? Yeah. He was.
The crazy thing is, in that era, and going here to say Dubbo, how you going, Bundy? I'm going, mate, sorry, but appreciate the confidence of that, but I'm actually Mark Carroll. So,
Mate, they were that fight he and Blocker did with their headbutting each other.
Yeah,
That's
great.
Radio, Blocker, John Lomax. Blocker. Is it Les Davis? Do you get Bundy?
Bundy, yeah,
Excuse
sorry,
me.
Bundy.
Sorry.
Yes.
I'm not good at this. John Lomax or Bundy? Les Davidson.
Bundy.
Bundy or Quentin Pongia?
So Bundy.
Bundy. Okay. Bundy or Ian Roberts?
Well, that'd be a good fight.
Wouldn't it?
Robbo.
Ian Roberts, Paul Harrigan.
Oh, come on. Ian Roberts, Paul Harrigan. I'll go to the Chief.
Yep.
Yeah.
Okay, last one.
Yeah.
Talk about mismatch in sizes, but the size of the heart the same. Paul Harrigan, Jeff Tuvey.
You know the research on me, don't you? Jeff Tuvey.
Jeff Tuvey.
Mate, he's the...
Toughest ever.
Oh, mate, he's got cauliflower ears. He's got cauliflower ears. I remember he used to get in there doing all the work, and Bo said, get in there and do your work. I said, Bo, get him out. I can't get in there. He was like a dog on a bone.
He's incredible. Hey, congratulations on the beer too, Spud.
Yeah.
Good on you, mate.
Spudweiser.
Get involved. We had one very nice.
Where can they get it?
Spudweiser.com. I've just done some jingles. It's a very expensive hobby, that being in beer, but when I save a few more jelly beans, I want to do some ad with the 30-second bites are brilliant. And the slogans give a butter spud, so fantastic.
Well, I'll tell you what, making beer is expensive exercise, and don't worry, drinking it these days is just as expensive.
Bloody oath.
Spud, thanks for your time,
Spud.
brother.
Thank you very much.
Fun, mate. Brought back a lot of good memories.